All right, what's up? We got a CRV. We're going to be doing all the sides and the rear and the front windshield. We're going to be doing Pro Classic. We're going to make it pretty damn dark. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments. And first thing I got to do is my tank. And I forgot my headphones. What's up? There we go. That's quick. That's always quick. So let's connect that. Connect that. Yay! What's up, guys? Okay, so first thing we're gonna do, release all the air that was in here. So I'm just gonna swap out my slip solution. This was fresh from yesterday, but first gen, no. It's typically okay, but we got a lot to do on this one. So I'm just gonna swap this out quick. Will the lives always be in portrait? Yes, for the foreseeable future. That is a platform thing. You can blame both TikTok, YouTube, and general viewing habits. YouTube is pushing live streams in short feeds right now. So if you're scrolling like you do on YouTube, or scrolling out, like, let's say you're on TikTok and you're just scrolling, chances are you come across live streams. Same thing for YouTube right now. YouTube literally copied the same features from TikTok, and so if you're scrolling shorts on YouTube, live streams, and in order to pop up there, you got to be in vertical. Platform stuff. So we're gonna fill this up. I don't necessarily need to fill this up all the way, but I am. We're gonna put 3 gallons in here, and we're gonna do 3 ounces of slip. So this is tint slip, and that's all we're gonna be using to add this. So we gotta wait just a little bit for the keg to fill up, otherwise it's gonna start bubbling over. The hair is looking. Thanks. I finally went to get a haircut. Kind of annoying. There's one thing I really hate to do, it's go get a haircut. To buy GeoShield, you actually need a business account. No, you can go to 313tint.com. What's up, Korea Tinter? How you doing? We're almost there. We're like so close. So, keg, we want to put, I like to fill it almost to where this line is, leaving a little spot for air. It doesn't have to be 100% there. And then we're gonna take this, we're gonna pour, let's get that out of the way. 1, fill it up. 2, hot water. In the summertime, no. I go kind of opposite of what the glass is to make it a little bit more comfortable. So in the wintertime, I'll do warmer water just because everything is friggin' cold. Summertime, doesn't matter quite as much, but hot water is going to evaporate a little faster. So you can cool down the glass, and then we'll put this on, and then we'll pump 90 PSI into that. Put you guys here for a minute. Oh, there's something weird about my air compressor. I have no idea what it is. I gotta check and make sure that it's actually plugged in, because I was having this issue yesterday. I probably unplugged it then. I don't know. Oh, is that this one? This one's unplugged. A little bit. It might be that one. Are those new age cabinets? Yeah. They're their Pro line. Hey, that's what it was. I thought it was a little weird. These are new age cabinets. They're pretty decent for the money. You get the most amount of cabinets for your money with these though, but don't expect amazing build quality. But this isn't their cheapest set. This is the Pro Series. So they're 24 inches deep, a little bit wider, a little bit taller. And I just like the look of them. So we did them across the entire shop. How many cars do you usually schedule per day? Oh, right now, not much. We'll do 1 or 2 cars in a day. If we do more than that, all the videos and stuff just like suffer. We have no time for it. Because we also run a store, and that takes up a surprising amount of time. So we have that going on, we have this stuff going on. And then next thing you know, we have classes coming up. So if we actually want to stick to doing like consistent video live streams and stuff, we have to set aside time to do it. I like them more than the Husky options. I haven't really seen those in person, but that's cool. I really like the color options of these ones, like the white with the gray. It's actually really good for cameras too. So I'm a fan. So quality is decent. Probably not as smooth as really expensive cabinets. I'd say as far as budget went, we went with the Pro Classic version of cabinets. Maybe, you know, it's not, there's so much more money you can spend on cabinets. Okay, so reason for the tape. I like to block off side seals. So tape goes right in here. And I just wrap that on the inside, so then we can just roll up the window. And so any dirt, there we go. Wow. Wow, why'd you go over there? We gotta do one more? Now it's really gonna swing. There we go. Let's turn that off. Cool. Sorry. And then we're gonna roll this up. So I put the tape on the inside to help keep some of this dirt from washing into my work. I'm using a Belkin tracking camera, and it's really good at tracking overall. It's a little iffy. It's a little iffy when you keep blocking it. So if you stand in front of it and you just want it to follow you, it's really, really good for that. Most of them are, but they want to keep tracking faces. The new phone format is not good. Would rather the older videos. The problem is YouTube, though. It's both TikTok and YouTube. So if you want to start popping up in feeds, which is really important, you actually have to stream vertical now. So it's just how it is. We did live streams for over a couple years, and viewership usually topped out at about 100-ish people per stream. And then I started streaming on TikTok for a little bit, and then viewership was crazy. And now we're just doing both. So last stream on YouTube hit 30,000 people. And then on TikTok, we hit like 27,000 people. So like you just got to embrace some of the format changes and stuff that they do. Otherwise, you just kind of fall off. But I hear you. It's just how it is. But the nice thing is I can mount this camera right here. So when we're getting into hand cutting and stuff like that, you can see it better. You become super popular and well-deserving. Oh, I don't know about that, but thank you. Best tint shop in Metro Detroit. I agree with that. I could always talk about platform stuff way too much. So let's sneak this in here. Roll this window up. Yeah, sometimes tracking just isn't worth it. So when you're actually trying to show what you're trying to do here, it wants to go crazy. Cool. Tape is in there. Let me grab a towel here. We'll wipe these off. Why don't you always go to the top edge and shave it? It looks better. It does. Most people don't notice it. And honestly, I'm not that good at it. It's one of those skill sets that I still somewhat suck at. We're going to be doing Pro Classic on this one. So dark on the windshield, 5 on the sides. Actually, the exact same as yesterday. So. Disconnect, reconnect maybe. Hey, that did work. When I get time, I plan on setting an appointment for front windshield and front doors. Nice. I'm sure it's a relief to not have to wear a cam on your head anymore. That's nice. That part is nice. But this isn't exactly much easier. So what we'll do now is we'll flip this around. All right, you go sideways for a minute. I'm going to put you right here. So a neck camera isn't exactly super great either. But it is convenient when we're trying to get a lot of stuff done. Okay, so we're going to start with Pro Classic 5%. That's a short roll. I would use that. It's basically empty though. So I wonder if I have to order another roll of 5. But we got a brand new roll here. Let's get this unboxed. End caps. I usually just toss those away. Take out the sleeve. You did our Mustang last summer. Still looks amazing. Hell yeah. Appreciate that. Glad it looks good. That's what we aim for. I was a tinter 13 years now in the U.S. Army, but still missing window tint. I love this job. Oh, cool. Window tinting has its moments where it's fun. Especially when I get Malibus. I think that's tomorrow. I think I got a Malibu tomorrow. Let's unwind this a bit. That's good. So we still have some slip from yesterday. Good news is that slip is still perfectly fine, or mostly fine. So while we're running through this, I don't know if I can, don't know if you remember this, but it was the supercharged one where it removed the louvers. Oh my God. No offense. But fuck those louvers, man. The louvers were super not fun to remove. There is some extreme adhesive on that. I do remember that. What's better, 10-inch or 20-inch wide roll? Well, a 10-inch roll. So it's going to be a 10-inch or a 20. Oh, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Grab, grab, grab. Thank you. We took them off for you. Maybe I'm thinking of a different one. Was it like the rear window one? Send me that scrap of film. Do I need to be a dealer to stack GeoShield? No. Oh, there was a Mustang, or I think it was a Mustang. It had a rear thing that I removed. That's the one that sticks in my mind right now. Oh yeah, I got plenty. So this is a 36-inch tall roll. Mid-size SUVs. Usually you're okay with splitting a 36-inch. Are you double cutting with liner against liner? Yes. I do it purely for convenience. The Mustang was me. Oh, okay. I love how you never torpedo the rolls. It was close. Pro Classic holds together a little bit better. It's got a little bit of static. Same thing for Pro Nano. C2 and the carbon lines is like, that's where it goes wonky. Do you prefer to hand cut? Yeah, in most cases I do. I'm just so used to it. And so I can get the exact type of cut that I want. Plotters are good. I just never know exactly what the plotter's going to decide to do. But the more I don't use it, the more I don't get used to that. But we'll still use it on the back. Does GeoShield offer overnight shipping? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can next day stuff if you need to. All right, then we're gonna roll this down a little bit. Perfect. Did I change my blade out? Ooh, we got stainless in here from yesterday. So we're gonna swap this one out. So these. So this is a stainless blade right here. That's what I put in my silver knife. Outdoor tinting, is it possible to get no contamination because tinting in gravel? Well, dusty concrete floors, I'd say, are kind of on par with that. And you can get nice work out there. The hard part, though, is that you're just outside. So you got, like, wind to worry about. Oh, God. That just went wonky on me. Funny angle. I'm going to push this up a little bit. We're going to retrim that right there. What's the best way to place an order for GeoShield? 313tint.com. So I'm just a wee bit shorter. If I want to go like up in this direction, it's awkward for me. Going in this direction is a little more natural. You just have got to be careful about mirrors, that kind of stuff that can get in your way. So thankfully, that just kind of fell out of my way, unless we trim this a little bit too far. We might have. Oh no. Is that right there? Oh, it is lower than I thought. We might have to swap this. Yep. See how far this goes in? That little tear? That goes. I'd say the worst part about double cutting is when you ruin one pattern, you ruin both patterns. I could use these on the quarters, but we're probably going to do the foggers not work? They should be working. We're gonna cut a new piece. We're gonna start over. Oh, was there a super chat? Hey, thank you. Okay, well, we're gonna make the foggers go off then. I don't know why they didn't. So if we go here, and then we go, hey! Mark with the 5, thank you. They should have gone off. This is where live streaming gets fun, is because you don't know why it didn't work. It just didn't that time. I don't know. I wouldn't trust it next time though. So we're gonna flip this piece around, match these up. We're gonna lock these together. We're gonna give this another go. I like hand cutting because I fuck it up. That's why I like hand cutting. Had to test it out. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why it didn't work. That's kind of annoying because everything's set up like it should work. Unless I just have to close the software and reopen it, which is entirely possible. Sometimes you run into dumb shit like that. Okay, so we're gonna wet this. We're gonna slide it back over in that direction. It's almost the perfect system. Chat works really well. For some reason, it also doesn't notify me. And the way I have my audio set up is if there's a super chat, I can't hear it either. So I would rely on the fog machines going off. Shit. Are you the owner? Yes. Tack those in place. Roll that down. We're gonna grab this knife again. Because I made a few cuts, let's snap off a blade there. And here we go. Hopefully we get this cut right. Hey. Much better. Put that back in the box. So we want to straighten these out. Why didn't you use a flame torch to seal when finished? I've noticed a torch, if you just like heat the outside of the glass and then it rains, you'll see where you torch the windows because you're literally like changing the surface of the glass a little bit. But you don't need to. It'll help it dry out a little bit faster just by heating it up. But for tint, you're not post-heating. Like, you don't need to post-heat anything. So if anything, like an IR heater or a heat gun would probably be like the better bet there. How do you avoid the tint lifting when rounding? Sometimes it does a little bit, but 1, snap your blade. 2, extend your blade a little farther. So when you're cutting, if you only put this much blade out, then you're digging in, let's use this piece as an example. You're digging into your tint and you're way more likely to create drags and make the tint bunch up. So extend your blade, low angle, and then you'll get some nice smooth cuts. And you're just running your blade and swinging it as you're making those cuts. Okay, so we got a couple patterns here. Do you prefer hand cutting or the machine? I prefer the machine if I get amazing results. The problem is I don't always get amazing results. So if we're doing something like a back window where I have a dot border and I just need some smooth edges that just go past my dot border, then a plotter in most situations has it covered. But if I'm going for a really precise fit, that's where hand cutting is like, it's just gonna outperform it every time. Almost every time. You can get some really good plotter cuts. But mainly on door windows is where they kind of drop off for me. But core's decent. You get some pretty good cuts off of it. You can do some things to like compensate for it too as well. I don't want to think about my plotted patterns too much. I want to be able to just cut them and have them fit nice. And so on a plotter, you have to print them out. You have to weed them. So like there's still extra work that goes into plotter cutting. And then you still have to shrink them. So for like an individual doing a couple doors or a car, you're not necessarily going to save a lot of time if you're good at hand cutting. Where they're definitely going to save you time is when you hire some extra help, and that extra help is running the plotter for you, and then you as the installer, you are doing the shrinking and the installation. But if you're not very good at hand cutting, plotter's definitely going to help speed you up some. Because if you mess up a pattern, you just print out another one. How do I join the classes? 313tint.com. Two-stage or bottom load? I two-stage. It's the way that I learned. There's nothing wrong with either method. It's just both give you a good result. Messy. Oh, but it's so great because I can just do that. And then it goes away. I'm trying to take your July class, but the monthly payment option isn't working for me. Is there a way that I can pay you if you didn't receive? I don't currently have another method. It gets really tough to track. What would you suggest for somebody that wants to start tinting full time but is scared to make the jump of finding clients, etc.? Just do it. Just do it. Wow, this shuts off fast. Or I'm very slow. Just do it. No, but there needs to be that point where you just say screw it and just try and get your first appointment. When I was first tinting out of the home garage, I think I found every excuse to not try and get in clients. I didn't really do it intentionally. I was basically just trying to over-prepare. And I knew how to tint already. I was just like, you know, we got to have the website, we got to have the payment system, we got to do this, we got to do that. We got to have all these things in place. And realistically, you don't need very many things in place at all. That gap is too big. That gap is not big enough. What are you talking about? What gap? I don't see anything. It's like the reverse Michigan legal. Do you think practicing with cheap tint is a good idea? Yeah, of course. Whatever can save you some money. Just go with a cheap dyed film. Ignore cheap carbon and cheap ceramic films. They're just harder to shrink. So one thing I'm going to pay attention to is how does the water sheet? That sheets beautifully, so I don't have to do anything to the windows. Do you ask people to wash their cars before appointments? No. That's annoying. Anything extra that, like, you just try and take as much burden off of them as possible. Like, bringing your car will do it. So, expecting them to go and, like, clean their car and do extra stuff, it's like, you don't need to wash a car before you tint it, for one. And for two, any barriers that you put in there, it's like you want to have solutions for as many as you can. What do you mean by watching how the water sheets? So, have you ever seen a ceramic coating and the water just beads off the window or the paint? You want to just keep an eye out for that kind of stuff. So if I spray the window and my slip solution just runs right off the window and just beads off, then you're just trying to tint with very little slip solution there. So your film is going to stick. Tried bottom loading. I experienced more contamination than two-staging. You can have a lot doing both. Nice thing about bottom loading is it takes out the installation steps. This is the only part of this vehicle right now that if I was bottom loading, this front part would be a smidge easier because this is a pretty short front edge that I'm tucking into. So that's really the only concern. What's a good spray bottle for doing this mobile? I use Tint Kegs Mobile. You could use a pump sprayer. Any spray bottle is fine. But if you need like more water because you're going to people's houses and you can't use their water for whatever reason, then you're just gonna have to, I don't know, bring some like extra water containers. Oh God, we're gonna get demonetized. What plotter do you have? I have a Workhorse 2 and I have a Graphtec FC 9000. And I have myself. 1 gallons bears are nice. How often do you go live? Whenever we can. Usually when there's a car and we have a little bit of time. We don't necessarily have a lot of time, but we do have a car, so we're taking advantage of that. Oh, motherfucker. Why? Why is this it's because we're live right now. That's why. Since when do Honda CRVs pinch? Up here. Watch this. We'll roll this up. Oh, now it doesn't want to? Fuck you. You dick. This is where it goes all downhill. Should I get that short roll handy? I do. I got my short roll handy because I got the other side. I'm having fun flashbacks. Fun flashbacks. Isn't that expensive? Well, it's Pro Classic, so it's not that expensive. But it is time consuming and kind of sucks a lot. Here's one thing I want to check though. It's good to see you struggle. Thanks. How much does it cost? Oh, with Pro Classic, not very much. But we did lose 3 doors so far. So there's 2 ways to look at it. You either have the tint that you just wasted, which material cost isn't that bad, but you also have your potential on what you could have sold it for, and that hurts a little bit more. But it is what it is. How do I know how much soap to use in a pump sprayer? Take 1 ounce per gallon and then ask ChatGPT. And he'll do the conversions. It's good to know the pros mess up once in a while. Yeah. So we're going to take that. And then we're going to continue this. How long does it take to finish a car? Well, when this kind of stuff is happening, way too long. So what happened was the top pinched, and so it usually doesn't happen for me. It's like pretty rare. But rolled up the window, and then the top just, you know, it's a door seal, so there's pressure there. And so if this corner isn't quite locked down enough, well then it's gonna crunch your top corner. And we don't like that. So it's usually if you have a little bit more slip solution. I don't feel like I have too much. So it slid into place, it locked down how I wanted it to. I'm just gonna be a little more careful. Dry out the top corner a little bit, and then roll the window back up. So we'll go again. Man, so many bad streaming flashbacks though. This is when you want to just... I'm just not going to stream today, guys. I'll stream another day. But if that starts happening with all the other doors, we're definitely leaving. Too bad this isn't just 2 doors and a windshield, though. All right, so let's peel this. Is your current slip solution better than baby shampoo? Yeah, especially for GeoShield and any films with similar adhesives. That's why tint slip became a thing. Are you leaving a big gap up top because of cops? Yes. Maybe a little slidey. So there's a couple things you can do. One is you can just be patient. 2 is you can press that corner out a lot more. 3 is you can heat up the corner and physically dry out the corner a little bit farther before you roll your windows up. So if this was happening regularly, I would be doing that all the time. But this very rarely happens. But it happened on this one. So before I roll this window up, I'm going to dry out that corner a little bit. Or I can start on the rear door and start cutting that out. And then by the time I get to this one, this should be dried up here and I didn't really waste any time. But we're just going to heat this corner up a little bit more. And then for good measure, run the heat gun over here too. You got a phone strapped to your head. No, I got a neck mount. And since we're using this so much like this, I've thought about using my head cam again just because I could figure out how to do that again. I was limited to streaming right off of the phone, and then I figured some stuff out, and now I don't have to stream off of the phone anymore. But a phone still works really well as a general camera because it's got some smartness built into it. So you can use some streaming apps, which is nice. What are the worst cars for beginners? Things that I would generally ignore if I was brand new is like a lot of things pre-2000. And then your special things like a Bug or a Corvette, probably don't do those. Mercedes? No, Mercedes isn't bad. Just some of those vehicles, like, your risk starts going up a little bit. So if you have to tint, like, a Mercedes door 50 times in a row, that's probably not great for that door. Why wouldn't you do a Corvette? It's very curved. It's one of the harder vehicles to do. I do transit vans. The quarter windows suck ass. Yep, they do. Used to have a shop schedule those like it was a set of front doors. And I'm like, this is not just a set of front doors. Charge more, please. Do you have to heat gun at the end of the job? No, you don't. Heating at the end of the job, the only reason you would do it is just to dry it out a little bit faster. The gap is gone, I missed it. Here. We almost screwed up this corner. Phew. Do different tint types shrink differently? They definitely can. Wow, that's English or Spanish. Just because you're using a carbon versus a ceramic doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be different, but they can be different. It's entirely up to whoever's film that you're installing. So these are things that you kind of learn when you use other people's films and you just build experience. What camera are you using? How do you read messages? I'm just using an iPhone. And for reading messages, right now we're using Lumia Stream. So we got, at least we should. I don't know if we actually do right now. Oh yeah, TikTok disconnect. Why TikTok disconnect? Here. Okay, now it's reconnected. Can you double tint? You can. I don't really recommend it, but it's fine. a lot of door protectors and they don't stick to the doors. Depends on the door. It's been a really challenging thing to solve. They're the best thing at sticking to the door that exists, but not a lot of things are actually going to stick to door panels. So some of them have like a Scotch guard. Basically, like, door panels are made to be easy to clean up, so they don't want things to stick to them. So we use a really aggressive adhesive, and they stick better to some than others. So it just kind of depends on what you're actually tinting. How much would it cost at a shop to get a front windows tinted? Like 2 doors, we start at $120. What are the benefits of an LLC? Some type of separation between your personal assets and your business assets. You can do everything just personally if you want to. At some point, you're probably going to want to form an LLC. It's not hard to get, though. Okay, we're going to slide this over, go back to this side. Cut down here. Slide this back over. Wow, you like super annoying. And then what? There we go. Why do you slide it over? So we want to make our pattern just a little bit wider than our door. If you don't, then you're going to have light gaps. If you cut it exact, you're going to be able to see the edges on the sides. You don't want that. What do you think about static clean, bro? Static cling is blurry. Any static cling that I've seen has been blurry. It's like one of the... I don't know if it's necessarily the cheapest, but it's definitely just a very DIY way of tinting. It's not like traditional window film. It's just like some temporary glare reduction. But they're definitely kind of hazy and blurry. It's real thick shit. What source of advertising brings you the most clientele? It's really gonna be, for like your average shop, is probably gonna be Google or Facebook ads. Local networking is pretty big, so if you're the type of person to go to like events and just hustle. Social media is like just lots of posts aren't necessarily going to bring you any business unless those posts are getting a lot of attention. So we've gotten a fair amount of customers off of TikTok because TikTok is really good at serving videos locally. So when you just come on here and talk to people and show how you do stuff, you start to just build some trust. Where the alternative is like, you know, if you don't have any friends or family to ask that have gotten it done, then you're just going for general reviews. And so, like, personally, if I saw somebody that was actually live streaming, doing the work, and they did a decent job, I would probably take my car there if I was interested in doing it. This shit's satisfying. Good. How many comebacks do you get? We get an occasional one. I have one this Saturday on a bright orange C7 Corvette windshield. He said there's some bubbles in it. I'm assuming that means a little bit of dirt, so that's not great. So I'll take a look at that and do what I have to. Wow, TikTok keeps disconnecting. Why, TikTok? Why you do that? Sorry. But that's the only one that I've had in a little while. But it does happen. So we'll separate these patterns, take this over to the other side. What's a good brand of tint to buy? I mean, I like GeoShield, so there's that. Does old tint fade, specifically ceramic? Well, poor quality films fade. Poor quality films bubble. And you could have a poor quality ceramic that fades, sure. But if you have a good quality, then it shouldn't fade. But if it did fade, then wherever you got it tinted from would then be responsible for redoing it. Because whenever you're, like when you're going to a shop and you're spending money. Oh yeah, like that question, do you redo it for free? Yeah, absolutely. If it peels, bubbles, fades, like what is the point of having a warranty if the customer still has to pay to get it done? So I don't think a lot of people necessarily understand what a warranty does. So there is like your personal shop guarantees, and then there's your manufacturer's warranty. And so when a GeoShield or an XPEL sells me a roll of film with a warranty, they're guaranteeing that if that film is installed properly, it's not going to fail. But if it does, that's on us. That's not on you. So if there's dirt or bubbles, that's an installer error. You can do better. So I'm going to personally guarantee that. But if this film next year were to turn purple, oh, I'd be lighting GeoShield up real quick. Are you heating the window? We're shrinking the film. Uncommon opinion, but there's two types of tint. It's faded or hasn't faded yet. Nothing lasts forever. There's usually some sort of actual time frame in there. Sure, it doesn't last forever, but like every year that goes by, the person either has their vehicle or they don't have their vehicle. So people only carry their vehicles for so long. And if you're blanketly just saying, we're going to replace it, then like the odds that 6, 7, 8, 9 years down the road that somebody is actually going to come back to you, if their film did fade, gets like substantially lower. So you might as well just say lifetime warranty. But there are films that'll fail inside of a year or two, and that would be real bad for business. But I still wouldn't expect any film that I'm installing to fail 5, 6, 7 years down the road. They should be fine. I just have warranty work done on my back 3 windows. Do you remember what film you had installed? Purple in the tint used to... Oh, yeah, purple used to be a thing in the 90s. Yep, it still is very much a thing. It's come a long way, so like the good films are very good. And then I just peeled one yesterday on a, I don't know, it was like a 2020 Camaro. The film had faded to clear. Like it was on there. He didn't even know he had film. This shit was so clear. There's still plenty of purple stuff though. Is that a hard or soft squeegee? If you see me using the pink squeegee, it's a soft squeegee. If you see me using the orange and blue one, it's like a medium hardness squeegee. Chameleon tints? I don't have anything that I know I can trust. There's a lot of films out there, but nothing that's sold by like a reputable brand really. Ultravision is kind of like the only one. What do you charge? Why do you charge for removal of tint? Here, I'm gonna swap these. There we go. Because it costs a lot of time and effort to remove. I could spend 2 or 3 hours tinting another car versus 2 or 3 hours removing old crappy film off your car. And I would rather be tinting a new car than removing it. So that's why we charge. Time is money. I'm interested in a flat glass class. Do you have any dates for the fall? No, we are notoriously bad at planning dates. So right now we just have the one. It's just hard to guarantee dates that far down the road. So they're generally okay. Oh yeah, we wanna. Let me heat up this top edge before we get too crazy. What a classic scam. What's a classic scam? Have you tried 80% ceramic film? We have 70. Yeah, 70 does awesome. I have a heat lamp box up front. And I've got a dual layer 70 and I have a single layer 70. Both are really, really good. What's in the hoses? Soapy water. Tint slip, to be specific. Yep. So we're getting that nice and toasty. How much did you charge? On this one, with the windshield, this one's $450. I have a 762 stuck in my tint. What does that mean? There we go. Who do you use for film? GeoShield. Do you do mirror reflective tint? I never really get asked. We could do an architectural film and do a pretty nice mirrored look if you really wanted to. It shrinks too. Could I tint by myself or should I practice on something? Yeah, like try your personal vehicle like a bunch of times. Do you double layer tint? Not regularly, no. I've done it for one customer, but I'd have to look at what they had already. if they want me to do 2 layers, then I'll just say, why not do 2%? And then they'll go, oh, that's a thing? And then we're back to doing 1 layer. But I wouldn't do 2 layers unless it was done by me and like honor any type of warranty. So like if they did a windshield and they're like, hey, I want to tint it darker, but like, do we have to remove this one or can we put a layer over it? Yeah, no problem. We'll just put a layer over it. Very, very rare. All right, cool. This one's good. How does one get into doing tint? It's different for everybody. Unfortunately, there's just no straightforward way of getting into tinting. I think some of the easiest ways are just get some film, get some tools, and practice on your own car. And see how you like it, and then go from there. What's the best windshield cleaning solution that doesn't leave streaks? Everything can leave streaks, but the faster that it dries, the less streaks that it leaves. So Sprayway is a really good glass cleaner. Use newspaper. I still gotta find a newspaper to try that with. But Sprayway, the lemon doesn't smell good, so ignore that. Get the regular one. Sprayway is really, really good, actually. Probably it's my favorite off-the-shelf glass cleaner. You could also just do some alcohol and water, and that works really well. Okay, we walked over to this side. Why did we walk? Oh yeah, because we needed this. Yeah, also 2 rags, that's a good tip. Or use one side and use it as kind of like a wet degreaser, and then flip the rag over to the dry side. And then continue to wipe the window, and that's how you'll really get it to get clean. What is a plastic called to protect the door panel? This is panel guard. It's such an original name. Can you tint over factory tint? Yep, that's exactly what we're doing right now. These windows are factory privacy glass, so there's no way to untint these. You can only put layers of tint over it. You can only make it darker. Where's the dude with the glasses that make the video? I don't know. I think he quit. He quit. He left. He's no longer here. TikTok shop. I want to tint my windshield, but I don't know because of the windshield. I want to tint my windshield, but IDK how because of the windshield. What? Damn, why did he quit? I don't know. He just yelled very angrily and stormed out one day. There's like little glue bits all over this window. I don't know why. I don't know how to tint my windshield because of the mirror. You can remove the mirror. You can tint around it too. It does make it easier if you remove it. Can you tint a windshield if it's cracked? Mm-hmm. Yep. You can also get pulled over just for having a cracked windshield. So you might want to just get it replaced first. But if I have a customer that's like, hey, I want my windshield tinted, and they come on in and it's cracked, I'm like, hey, it's cracked. And they're like, yeah, that's fine. I'm like, okay. How do you remove the mirror without breaking the glass? So you're going to want to go to this handy thing called a search bar, and you're going to want to search your vehicle and mirror removal. You'll find out exactly how to do it. Is it easy or difficult to tint a window with visors on? They don't make a window fun if they're in-channel ones. By WeatherTech. Ah, that's the company I was trying to think of yesterday. They'll pop out, so I would remove them. If they're the stupid external sticky ones, you can just leave them on and work around them. It's not going to be fun. I tried to practice on junkyard cars to remove the mirror, and the glass broke every time. What did you do to break a bunch of windshields? What were you removing? Like, on what? Most of them are like a T20 screw. And then they slide off. So, like, that's some special. I'm in South Carolina. I know it's illegal regardless. I just want to keep out the heat. Then go with a really light ceramic. Like a 70 or 80% ceramic. It'll help a lot. They'd all be glued on with strong adhesive. You're literally trying to just rip the mirror tab clean off the windshield, dude. Like I said, you're gonna want to look up a video, and then you realize, oh, there's this screw, and then you take off the mirror, and you don't want to try and take off the tab. Bro's just over here literally trying to, like, chip off tabs on windshields. Why? That's amazing. They're all glued on. Yeah, otherwise they should poke a hole and put a screw through it. How do I remove my TV with a hammer? Pretty much. I'm imagining trespassing at night, just trying to be sneaky. What's the worst window tint? I don't know. The worst brand, there's a couple that they still have installers. They're still in business. Worst film failure. ASWF was definitely one of them. How do you cut perfectly on the window? Practice. How hard are you pushing on the squeegee to get the air out? I'm pushing hard enough to get the water and the air out, but not hard enough to scratch it or break the glass. I don't know, somewhere in between there. You're always gonna leave a little bit of water behind. Like, I can't tell you exactly how hard that I'm pushing, but I'm not struggling to push. So good squeegee, some medium pressure, you're fine. Main thing is making sure that squeegee blade is gonna flex and contour against the glass. So like for example, if I just, you see that gap right there? If we put this close, see that gap? The glass bows, so when we press the squeegee blade, we get a little bit of flex. So I press and flex that amount of pressure. Should I buy a heat gun to tint only one time? They do have a return policy, so you could do that. But yes, you cannot actually tint without a heat gun. So, how much for a sedan, no front windshield? It would start at $290 on most vehicles. Okay, so this, see how this is sheeting? So this is just running down, and then this, I can see the little droplets here. That's not as good. It's probably gonna be fine, because every other window was fine. And if anything, we found out our slip solution maybe was a little too slippery up in the corners for this car. One time I pressed too much and I broke the handle. Yup. And I bet there was still some water in between the film and the glass. Do you charge per window? I just set a price on a car. I work at Carfax, and you report window tint now. What? Why? It's not anything a tinter's really gonna care to do, though. Why is there a gap between the door frame and the tint? Good grief. Maybe because we're not done. It was good timing on that one. RIP if you get a Tesla Model X. Why? I have a Model 3. Why do you spray the window so many times? Because I'm overly thorough. Can you tell me the price for a tint like SUV hatchback Tesla 2? Well, what Tesla? Because Tesla makes more than Tesla. So like this is a hatchback SUV. And this one with the windshield is $450. We're doing Pro Classic. Do you like air bubbles? I love air bubbles. That's why I work with air bubbles. My whole career was made around bubbles. What % do you recommend getting on a windshield? Most of my clients go with like a 50. We're going a little darker on this one though. What %? What is your opinion on Lexan films? I get asked that a lot. Pure Max is okay. Everything else isn't great. Maybe I should just sell Pure Max. Okay, I'm gonna grab a heat gun. We're gonna heat up that corner a little bit. Does carbon tint block heat like ceramic? Not exactly. A dark carbon film is gonna block a fair amount of heat. Not quite as much as ceramic. I mean, maybe if it's like a 2%, it'll be pretty close. But ceramic's always gonna block a little bit more heat. But if you're going with light carbon, like a light shade of carbon, you're not gonna block a lot of heat. A little bit more heat on this. Why don't you cut it with a plotter? Why don't you just use the machine? I do use the machine. I just don't always use the machine. Is it better to remove a door panel to put the tint on? I don't like removing stuff if I can avoid it. That's more of a personal preference, though. On a CRV, I'm honestly not sure unless I look up a video. But I'm sure some people in the chat would say it's a couple bolts and the top seal pops out really easily. Are there specific cases where you hand cut or plotter it? Yep. So generally what I do is when it's more tedious to cut out, like the back spoiler area on this car and those quarters, I could shine a bright light and I could cut these out. Spoiler, I'll have to double check. Yeah, your glass comes all the way up here. So the spoiler's gonna kind of get in the way of my cut. So it's gonna just be easier and quicker to just cut it off of a plotter. So then I can just put it in the machine and do that. You don't need as much precision though on back windows. You just need it to be wider than the border. So if it's a 1/8 inch or if it's a 1/4 inch, both those are gonna work fine. There is no like set amount that it's gotta be past the dot border. But for the doors, we wanna try and get this top cut to line up perfect. And I don't necessarily have a ton of room on the sides, and my seal presses in, so you have just tighter tolerances with doors. So if everything's not quite spot on, it'll show in lots of little ways. So if it's a good plotter cut, then cool, that's great. If it's not, then I'm bitching at my window and I'm gonna hand cut it. So if I'm gonna potentially hand cut it anyways, that's when I tend to just say, I'll just hand cut it. And also for the sake of examples, there's a lot more people watching that don't have plotters. So hand cutting is a bigger question always than how do I click cut on the machine. So we do both. But if I'm on or not on stream, I'm generally hand cutting all the doors. And then maybe plotter cutting some back windows, but it just depends. Why is tint expensive? Because we artificially inflate the prices to annoy you. No, tinting is one of those trade skills that's really frustrating to learn. So prices kind of go on a market rate. So if you can find somebody to do it for cheap and do a good job and use a good film, that's kind of like the lottery right there. It's hard to find that type of person. I will definitely get a plotter once I open a shop. Yeah, so this is my main machine right here. So we'll cut the back windows and stuff out on this. I wouldn't have it if I didn't use it. But those back windows are going to be a little bit easier to do that with. So we're still going to have to clean this off. Thank you, Honda, for doing that. That's really nice of you. Let me figure out what year this is. This is a 24. This is a brand new one. Oh, let me get this off of here. What's your recommendation for front windshield? It's personal preference. Most of my clients get 50%. Okay, so now we need to bring up a vehicles. We're gonna X that out. 24 Honda CRV. So here are all our patterns. We're going to add a new cut board. And then let's click on our rear quarter, and those are gonna get added. And then our back glass. Is it gonna give us options? No, just one. So then we go to our cut board. We need to first, actually I don't know if we need to swap out our blade. Why is this all the way over here? This is for PPF. This is for window tint. Condition 1. Maybe he didn't have to change anything. Wouldn't that be nice? We'll use this roll right here. I'm gonna cut out the quarters. Do you get a consent form for recording the vehicle? Yes, and then I ask for the vehicle's preferred pronouns, and then if I'm allowed to touch it. What's the name of the software that you use? This is Core. That's down. Wait, where's my... Okay, there we go. So it's going to check where all the rollers are. Zoop. And then it's going to retract it, set a start point. Cut head's going to go back. I'm going to do a test cut though, actually. So we'll get rid of that. And just start with my front quarters, or the rear ones, but you get the idea. Let's see. Is it gonna work? Any day now. Why don't you put the quarter windows above the back window? We just cut out some flat glass film, so I wanna make sure my settings are okay before I send another back window to death. That happened with the Pro Nano in one of the last streams. I don't know why, but the settings were just, I think I have to swap out the blade, but the settings were just not cutting it, so. It's free and open source software. Wouldn't that be nice? But where are you getting your patterns from? Car manufacturers don't do anything. Nice. Lovely, lovely. Perfect. I like it. That's exactly what you want to see. And our ceramic was not doing that last time we trimmed it out. Like a slightly bigger Cricut machine. Yeah, that's it. So this is a industrial material cutter. So it's called a plotter. You can cut out vinyl, you can cut out PPF, you can cut out window tint. It's not made specifically for window tint. It's made as a just workhorse machine to cut out thousands of die cut stickers all day, or like any of the materials that I mentioned. But yeah, basically a bigger Cricut machine. What's your opinion on 35 for the front windshield? 35 was like one of my favorite shades. Yeah, it's fine. We'll just not shrink that. 35 was one of my favorite shades for the front windshield. I always got a little nervous driving with it, but I really liked it. It's kind of that perfect balance between like blocking glare but not being overly dark. But it definitely looks like you have tint. There's no, like with 50 is somewhat dark, but I would say it's not necessarily like, oh, that is heavy. It's not, I wouldn't say it's like overly dark. If I get tint off of Temu, how long do you think it would last? Dude, I don't know. I've seen films fade within like less than 6 months. It could last a shockingly long time. You never know until you actually get it and install it. But if it didn't cost you very much money and you just wanted to try it for funsies and not necessarily run a business off of it, then go for it. Temu's likely carbon, so it might not, it'd probably be hazy or a glue failure. I doubt it would actually turn purple. You do detailing? Kind of. I spray the interiors with soapy water and then I wipe them down. Oh, where's my sprayer? All right, push this in place. You don't shrink those. I didn't. I definitely could. These just have virtually no curve to them, even though they're a little taller. So I dare you to use the backpack sprayer. I know where my sprayer is. I don't know where my charger is. So it's currently dead. I'd have to get another one. It's really cool. It's really cool to walk around and not have to worry about these hoses, but I end up going back to the kegs because I'm always tinting here. So I would usually run out of water. How much does this job pay you in a month, if you don't mind telling me? Our business has really changed a lot over the years. So it's not like a tint shop necessarily. We do lots of tint jobs, and that's part of the revenue that comes in. But we also have a store, and we do training classes. So when I was tinting for like a glass company, for example, or like when I was mobile, we'll do that as a good example. Generally in a day or a week, let's talk week. It's probably a little bit more clear. Did I throw that out? No, we'll use this one. Symbol Auto Glass over in Shelby. I would generally take home probably about like 12 to 1500 and tint there 2 days a week. Now those were pretty packed days, so I was busy. But doing mobile for like more shops and stuff, more along the lines of like $2,500 to $3,000. It depends on like, do you tint for somebody? Because when I was mobile and tinting for somebody, I made less per job. When I was on my own, I made more. If you're mobile, wouldn't you have to do the cutouts before you hit the road? I hand cut everything. I wouldn't pre-cut something doing mobile. So if you're like on the job and you brought a machine with you, then sure, you just got to carry that around with you in a trailer, which is perfectly fine. But I wouldn't pre-cut anything because people change their mind, and it also potentially can limit you. So let's say somebody booked a job and you talked about it over the phone and they didn't really know anything about heat rejection. So you settled on doing like a pro classic job and you pre-cut everything. You go out there and they change their mind and they're like, actually, I will go for that ceramic. Well, you just pre-cut everything in a lower quality film. So you either throw away those patterns or you could save them for another vehicle. Chances are you're going to get that next vehicle with those patterns as soon as you throw those patterns away. So the time that you're saving on pre-cutting them the night before, you're not necessarily gaining that back if that happens. I ain't paying you $9 for nothing. I don't think you are paying me anything. How many full cars a day is average? It just depends on the person. Depends on the shop, depends on the person. So like a happy day for me when I was tinting at somebody else's shop, I'd like to see 3 cars for like sides and back, maybe a couple sets of doors, and like toss in a full windshield there. And that's a happy max out day where I'm spending about up to 2 hours per car, about 45 minutes on a windshield, and half an hour on a set of doors. I would get there generally at 9 o'clock, and I would leave by like 5:30, 6 o'clock. I should have done this before I did the quarters. Look at me be dumb. My husband has a tint shop in Miami. He's learned a lot from you. Oh, I appreciate that. Do you guys get flooded there? I saw some videos not long ago with some severe flooding over in Miami. You're really close to Tri-Edge. So like the company that actually makes these things. Tri-Edge, these cards and a bunch of other Tri-Edge tools, they're a little south of Miami. How does he read the chat without looking? Sense it. Oh, yeah, we're going to plotter cut this. Okay, so all we need now is a dryer sheet. So we're going to get one of those. Does Core need a USB dongle? No, you use a login for Core. I think the USB dongle is... Ugh. I mean, I guess it's cool if you want to take it from one computer and put it on another. That would be nice. But I think you have... Don't quote me on this, because I haven't put it on any other machines. I want to say you have up to 3 machines that you can log into. So I could put it on that machine, and it's on this one right here. So that's nice. 3 is correct. Yes! Tint trivia. Nailed it. All right, so we're gonna go back here. Any way to get a response from Core? I have no idea. I did see that quite a few times where people couldn't get in touch with them. I have no idea. Just maybe try and join their Facebook group and then just generally try and be annoying. For whatever reason, I was able to just sign up. I didn't talk to a rep, nothing. I was on a desktop, I went to the website, and then it brought me to a sign up window and then took my money, and I've been using it ever since. We're double cutting because I had space. Have you ever had to give your testimony in court as an expert in window tint? Man, that would be the day. I never even thought about it, but that would be fun. Funny. That would be really funny. I would say, well, as a professional in window tinting, maybe they can bring me on the news when it gets brought up. They call me in. And I'll definitely preface it that way. As an expert in window tinting. How much does this machine cost? $7,500 for that size. 60-inch machine is overkill for window tint. So if you just want to cut out window tint, a 40-inch machine is great. Here, we'll put this one over here for now. Would you trust Amazon's ceramic to block heat out? Yeah, but not necessarily be clear or hold up over time. I don't know. It might be fine. There's no reputable film companies or major film companies that sell anything on Amazon. Amazon just, like, it's just the way that the model works. So Amazon takes, I don't know, like 15% of every sale. So you got to bake that margin into your costs and everything. And so when you start whittling it down, it's also really big. So like your storage fees would be probably a lot through Amazon FBA. I just don't think it'd be a really good product to sell on there. You're selling to people that are just looking to like DIY. So they're generally people that aren't looking to spend very much money on tint anyways. Or a fairly new installer. I don't know. Ever done 70% full car? Yeah, actually. It's rare. I remember doing an Escape. He didn't have any tint on the rear, so we did the rear in 20 and then the front doors and the windshield in 70. It looked completely factory. Here, I'm gonna shut something off. Those things right there. You got my sub. Appreciate it. Where's the guy in glasses? I don't know. I think he quit. How do you keep the little hairs from coming off of the dryer sheet? You don't. They don't become a bother though. So same thing with the felt card. So like felt card, because it's made of wool, like pressed wool, you'll have some little fibers, especially when it's brand new. That's totally fine because they're not gonna get in your work. Not if you do your work right. Like you can pretty much use whatever towel that you want on the windows too. So like, I use the Costco towels for a long time. They leave quite a few fibers behind, but they actually, like, they're fine. Your Squeegees is what takes care of all, like, the fibers and stuff. When you tint long enough, like, most of your problems are not from your immediate, like, your environment or things in your immediate surrounding. It's usually just like your installation just needs work. So you can always have something that just floats in your work. Good, good. All right, now we're gonna go up here. Grab a light. There, now you can see it a little better. Why don't you use water on the back? Because we're dry shrinking. I don't like wet shrinking pretty much at all. How do you prevent creases when you're flattening the tint? You need to always wait for it to shrink. If you're creasing the film, you're not shrinking it enough before you press it down. Beautiful cabinets. Thank you. They do look nice, don't they? They've been really helpful. I mean, look at how well organized they keep them. All right, so now that we have this shrunk, we need to peel that border off of it. We're gonna take our knife here. Why don't you dry shrink the side windows? There just isn't as much curve. You could, but dry shrinking, there's just more setup and it's more time consuming. So when we need to shrink a bigger piece of glass, so after I do this back window, we're going to do the windshield. So you'll be able to see the whole setup again for that. And I'm going to hand cut that instead of plotter cut it, because I don't trust plotters for windshields. I don't even know if it has it. I can check though. But I'm going to set it up. We're going to hand cut it. What else do I need? A towel? Here. Have you ever tried wet shrinking windshields? Yeah, it feels messy. So you just have to do a completely different, like you have to have a different way of shrinking. So instead of starting in the center and working your way out, it's like what you're trying to do is gather all the big fingers into, or like all the loose fingers into like bigger pockets, like bigger finger pockets. And then you usually start at like the very outside-ish area and kind of work your way inwards. It's just different. There's nothing really wrong with it. I don't necessarily like putting that much heat in one condensed area. But it can work really well. Here, let me also clay bar. I need you to tint my car. I wish you were closer to South Florida. I wish too. I just don't want to deal with the humidity. How can you not overshrink the film? Because when you're about to overshrink it, you stop. Hey, what's up? Ooh, I should put a towel down too. I'm gonna grab that. How much is this job gonna cost? With the windshield, this is a Pro Classic job. This is $450. Almost the same amount of work as yesterday. Just less money, because it's not as nice of a film. Our Michigan summer this year has not been very good at staying hot. It was actually colder this week. Really weird. Shouldn't you replace the water? What do you mean? Music? Why no music? Because people hate music, and then YouTube demonetizes anything fun. So I've been used to no music for a very long time. And then people can hear me breathing heavy better that way. Cardio. I've been watching your live video the whole time I've been in class. I'm in school for collision repair. Nice. Get out and do some window tinting. What's the future of collision repair like? I genuinely, I don't know. Any way to remove dots on the window? No. So if they're dirt specks, then definitely no. If it's the dot matrix around the edges, when your windows dried out, you could touch them up a little bit, but largely no. Oh, don't do that. Why are you sticking there? There we go. Do you have another car lined up after this one? No. This is it for today. I wish this one came in earlier today, though. Shouldn't you replace the water in your keg? I did that at the beginning of the stream. It sucks working on cars in the heat. It's 90. That does suck. I used to work in some really hot garages. We have like an oversized air conditioner up front. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything to our thermostat. So when we had this loft built, we were talking about doing something with the HVAC, but it would just get money I probably don't want to spend yet. You'd have to get a thermostat put back here. You'd have to have a way to shut off the air up front and direct it just back here, which is really what needs to be done. But otherwise, moving the thermostat doesn't really change much. Because when you're running it, it'll get really cold up front, and then it'll get not as cold back here, but we just leave it running up front. It's been raining here the past 2 weeks. It's been pretty up and down weather. This has been a pretty shit summer. I remember one summer we had not too long ago, a few years back. It like hit June and then it was like 80 and clear skies almost every day. It was lovely. Not this year. Do you ever dry under all the plastic bits? No, and a lot of times you keep it shy so you can see all the edges. So if I have a little finger popping up, I'm gonna make sure to press that water out and lock down that little spot. Tennessee weather is so bipolar, constantly changing every 2 hours. I used to think Michigan weather was crazy. And then we went on a little road trip down to Alabama. And this was like New Year's. It went from, like we had 70 and sunny, and then it snowed, and then there was like a tornado warning. Like it was wild. You're driving down the road and everybody has shelters, like underground shelters that they can retreat to. And you're like, oh, that probably means it's a little scary here. I live in Alabama. Nice. Yeah, for all the weather craziness, like I've seen so much random flooding and tornadoes and stuff, especially on TikTok. Dude, we don't get a lot of that. Here it gets cold, but over the past handful of years, it really hasn't even been like that cold. It'll get cold for like an annoyingly long time, and it'll stay gloomy. Nebraska, here's flooding. Ugh. I'm thankful I live in a place where I don't have to really worry about flooding or tornadoes and stuff like that, so. But we don't exactly have that many fun things to do. We have parks. '98 in Texas. In Omaha, we've had 118 tornado warnings. How many tornado warnings does it take to move? Is that soapy water? Yes. This is the same slip solution that I install with. I use this to clean off the windows. Glass cleans up really fast. So soak it down, give it a good scrub, and then I'll squeegee it. And squeegeeing it is really nice because now it'll be perfectly dry, and you take any bits off of the window. So if I just wipe it with a towel, sometimes there's little bits left behind. And when I used to shrink with a hard card, you'd rip right through it. How many cars did you do before you got good at tinting? Well, man, I messed up that driver door like at least twice, so I still feel like I'm not quite there yet. And it's been about 15 years, so we'll get there someday. What are you streaming on? A phone? An iPhone? How do you start tinting? You get some film. What is all this? You get some film, you get some tools, watch some videos, have at it. See how it goes. I mean, you're a bored kid, so you might as well try. It'll give you something to do. Then you won't be so bored. You'll be angry. You're like, fuck this. Can I have a shout out? It's my birthday. Happy birthday. How do you clean your floors? People clean their floors? Oh, how did I? Oh, that's a boring story. So, my dad owned a auto accessories company. I was there as a detailer. It was a summer job, really. I didn't even know. Like, he basically said, like, you're gonna come in and start detailing cars. And I was like, okay. And I didn't know what detailing meant. And at the time, like, ceramic coatings, like, it was just straight up cleaning cars. And, like, we had this, like, pink polish that we would go over the exterior to, like, buff the paint a little bit, but no paint corrections, no ceramic coatings. It's not as, at least when I was learning it and doing it, it was just car cleaning. And they would charge, like, $180 to do everything. So it was a grind. And then we had a window tinter at the time. And they were also doing a lot of other auto accessories. So I started learning remote start, got a little toolbox, started buying some tools to take apart things, make myself a little more useful. And then the window tinter quit very suddenly. And then my dad's business partner had a son who knew how to tint. And then they struck a deal to teach me. And so he spent the summer over at those stores. So, like, my dad owned quite a few stores. He had, I want to say, 10 to 15 stores at one point. So it was like a decent-sized little chain around here. But then economy took a turn. Accessories started falling off because it was a lot of, like, you know, you had your classic accessories like tonneau covers, step bars, bug shields, chrome stick-on shit, radios, remote starters, and a lot of that stuff really started to fall off. And then margins shrank up, and good installers started leaving, and lots of debt, and then the whole thing went bust. So he still owns a shop called Auto Tint City over in Dearborn Heights. And I tinted there, so all my early videos are from there. Can I wrap my 100 RZR? I don't even know what that is, but I would not stop you. Are you still using Lumar? No. No, I'm using GeoShield. Okay. So we're gonna try and tuck this in here. We got a lot of space. Do you ever get tired tinting? Yes, for sure. I think I'd get bored with any job though. That's why I made tinting more fun for me. So I never when I learned how to tint, I was also going to aviation mechanics school because I didn't know what I wanted to do. So some of the installers joked and said I was going to be a lifelong window tinter, and I was like, fuck you guys. I'm not going to do tint. I'm going to go to school and do something else. And I did. I finished school, finished aviation mechanics school, and then I kept tinting. So this is also 2008, 2009 housing market crash. I didn't understand any of that really, but quite a few people got laid off. From aviation, so it kind of scared me away from the entire industry, which I look back and I'm really thankful. Because it made sense. Like, they do hire a lot of new people, but, you know, when you're expensive and experienced and not necessarily as flexible on your income, that's when they lay you off. Big corporate. Is $900 a good price for ceramic expel? I mean, it's a price. It's generally what I hear for like XR Plus. Okay, so we just put a snuggle dryer sheet on there. So this is going to dry. It's going to take a little bit of time. But that puts down a waxy layer. So then when we put the tint on, the tint is going to shrink nice and even. So we gotta be a little patient for that. Do I have a rub? What do you like to do when you're not tinting? Well, I have 2 kids now. So I go home and try and rescue my wife from my kids, and then we try and do something, but we have a newborn right now. So that takes up a lot of time. Do they send you the towels for free? We do have some spares. They send out, GeoShield sends out a lot of stuff for the students at the classes. So these are a couple from that. Have you ever used Autobahn? No. No, I haven't. I know a fair amount from them, or about them. So, like, in a way, I feel like I do. They're all a little different, though. Congrats. Thank you. I appreciate you. There's like a booger up here. I just touched it. Okay, so while that's drying, might as well clean the inside of this. Can you get as good of a result 2 staging as you can bottom loading? I mean, I think this looks pretty good. The thing about bottom loading 2 staging, you get good results doing both. There's just more steps to 2 staging. So it's an easier thing to mess up. So a lot of people prefer bottom loading, and it's kind of easier to understand how to remove seals and that kind of stuff. Here we go. It's funny, I'm like going back to old habits with just doing POV the whole time. It's probably really jarring for the windshield at this point. Otherwise, it's kind of a pain in the ass to move the camera around so much, though. This side's clean. The other side had like a booger, though. On windshield, should I 2-stage or bottom load? On a windshield, I'll reverse roll. Is there actually tint that's not dark on the inside but black on the outside? Tint just kind of works that way. So if I close this door and I close this door, it's going to look really dark because you're looking into a dark cabin. But if I go on this side or I go on this side, they're going to function and look the same. So it's really, you're just closing the doors, and that's why tint looks like it does. But some marketing geniuses on TikTok decided to say ceramic. Why? Because they're selling the shit out of ceramic that way. And it's kind of genius. If I'm like pure evil, I would say the same thing. I should just embrace it. Because the average person in here that asks about it doesn't give a shit. You could just say, yeah, sure it does. And they'd be like, oh, okay, cool. Sweet, I'll take, sounds great. I'll take 14. Why haven't you got a blade holder? Because they change out blades so often, I never really liked the holders. Okay, so looks dry. So inside's clean. Now we can take our film and we can throw that up on the windshield. Excuse me. All right. So I'll unroll about half my windshield, toss it over, and then continue to unroll it. If you have a shelf though, you could totally like cut a piece off out of the box and then unroll it nice on your windshield. You don't have to chuck the whole thing across it. Where's the cutting tape for the windshield? It's on there already. What shade are you doing? We're doing dark. Is that a 40 roll or a 60-inch roll? This is a 36. A 36, like you can see how much extra. You can see how much extra you still have on the top and the bottom. 36 is going to cover most of your windshields. There's a handful that it won't. Like the odd model Focus or Ford Edge. Transit vans, caravans. Let's do that on the other side. It's Ray from Tiger Window Tinting. What's up? Trash car. Well, look here, Woody. Isn't it against the law to tint the windshield? That depends. Some states, yes. Some states, like Michigan, permit it as long as you have a doctor's note. Oh, come on. There we go. Difference between GeoShield and Lumar as far as film. Price? I mean, processes for sure, too. Lumar, so Lumar's owned by Eastman. They're a really big, oh, let me go to the other side. Lumar's they're owned by Eastman, really big chemical company. They do a lot of their own dyeing and that kind of stuff. Made in the US, which is pretty cool. They're way more in dyeing than they are in like carbon technology. So they have some good ceramics and they have some good dyed films, but they don't really do like carbon ceramics. But they're also just very expensive. So if you're going to be a Lumar dealer, just expect to pay $100 more per roll. And not necessarily have anything but the brand to show for it. It's not that they're bad films. It's just like, if you're going to be a Lumar dealer, you got to leverage that. Opinion on 3M. Kind of the same. Really expensive. I don't think. Do they manufacture their own films? I don't think they do. What tint is best of the best? I mean, at this point, there's a lot of films that are going to be so comparable in terms of, does it look black on the vehicle? Does it block a lot of heat? Yes. Yes. So then you got to ask yourself, does the brand really matter to you or doesn't it? And so Geo is kind of this in between. They don't have a nationally recognized brand, although they probably are more recognized at this point than they used to be 4 years ago. But if that brand really matters, then use it if you're a shop. Or don't. Just make sure it's always working for you if you do. Like GeoShield is, I think they're one of these awesome sweet spot in-between companies. Great films. I know a lot about their manufacturing. Super competitive on pricing. They're very much a every tint shop type of company too. So you're not getting an exclusive territory with them. So they're just very supportive. What setting? I put this on high. So off, medium is in the middle. I don't even know how to put it on medium. And then high, just 2 clicks. So the way that I change my heat is just distance and amount of time that I leave it on any one particular spot. So what I'm waiting for is I'm going to heat it up until, see these sideways air pockets? When the film does that, that means it's shrunk. And you just push those straight forward. So the analogy that I always use is, if these were little ocean waves heading into a shoreline, match your card up with those lines and see this one's curving that way. So we're gonna push that out the side, readjust, push these up, right like that, and then there you go. This is still loose, so if I just cram it down, it's gonna crease. So I wanna heat this up until it starts doing those little ocean waves. Unless somebody can think of a better analogy. See? Like that. Tinting the exterior. Why? Because we're stupid. But if you stick to these rules, you can shrink a lot of stuff. And you can... It's just forcing yourself to, like, play by these rules. But once you understand them and you look for them, your time can speed up really, really quickly. Get out of here, little baby waves. See? Little baby waves. Push them forward. The other rule is to always lock down the sides. So you can shrink up to the sides. Just don't ever let a finger pop out the sides and try and shrink it. You always want to direct anything that were to pop out the sides. You want to direct it downwards or upwards. And then keep going. See all these little beach waves? That's right. Tint always goes on the outside. Every time. Is Lexan ceramic a good film? I don't think it's a very good film. Is dry shrinking good for speed or wet shrinking? Yes, it's very good for speed. And shrinking a lot over a really far distance. You still could wet shrink. The thing is, like, if you don't know anything about shrinking, the vast majority of people dry shrink. So I would take that as an indicator to focus on dry shrinking. But that being said, there's always 500 ways to do anything. As soon as you think you saw everything, then you see somebody do something different. So we're just cutting in the middle of the tape right now, or trying to. Is solar-free film good? I know nothing about solar-free. I think they've been around for a while, but I think it's one of those random white box labels. What's the tape called? Glass Aid. Now it's officially got a name, Glass Aid Cut Guard. But yeah, I do the tape because I'm trying to protect the glass, and the outline part is really nice as well. The main reason I even started with this was because when I was mobile, I was cutting directly on windshields and back windows, And every once in a while, even though you're trying to move fast through your day, and then next thing I know, you see a little score line in the back window, and you're like, where the hell did that come from? And then you start to panic because you're just trying to tint. You're just trying to get through your day, and you're like, there's got to be an efficient way to trim out your patterns without worrying about scratching a window. So that's why I use it. It's a vinyl tape. It is a vinyl tape. It's just way thicker than any pinstripe you're gonna find. So if you just want like a white line, you can use white pinstriping. That's been around for a very, very long time. So I initially went down that road. So these wipers, they don't spoil they don't spoil the visibility. Nah, this is bulletproof tint. We're just gonna leave this on the outside. Is it similar to knifeless tape? No. No, knifeless tape has like a fishing line wire in it. You can't use knifeless tape on tint. Vinyl is a lot softer. And remember when they're using it is they install the vinyl and then they pull the line through it. So we're not installing this before we're pulling it. So there's nothing keeping it stuck to the glass other than some dryer sheet. How does high-tech compare to GeoShield for price and quality? I genuinely don't know. I know a lot about high-tech. They're owned by a Texas, by Solar Control down in Texas. So like global with a new brand on it, basically. Probably with a couple extra film lines thrown in there too. So good overall. I don't know their pricing though. I never got a pricing sheet for them. What would be some important questions? So you're going to want to take the installer and you're going to sit him down for an interview. There really isn't anything because you're likely talking to a receptionist, and a receptionist genuinely isn't going to know. So if you are talking to like an owner, an installer, are you going to do a good job on my car? Yes. Perfect. You're really going off of reviews, overall vibes, but there's nothing you're going to be able to ask them. You get to ask them if they watch that weird tint guy on TikTok or YouTube. And if they say no, then go somewhere else. Like, fuck that guy. I know way more than he does. Actually, then yeah, I would go. If that was their answer, like fuck that guy. I know way more than he does. I'd probably trust that shop. That's a pretty good response. Okay, we good. So we're gonna reverse roll this. Sorry, this is a neck mount. This isn't a head mount, so you guys are a little low, but that's fine. So we're gonna roll this whole thing up. Otherwise, trying to set the camera in one spot is too annoying. How do you learn to tint? Get some film, get some tools, and watch lots of videos and start practicing. See if you like it. It's how you learn how to do anything. Maybe we could start a tint college and then you could take out a loan for that. Okay, so we're gonna start with peeling corners, and then we wanna pick this up. So we're about halfway across the windshield. Spray it down, and then we're gonna set this back down the way we picked it up. So the goal here is to loosen up the liner as neat and clean as possible. And then we're gonna roll it up like a poster and unroll it on the inside. What's the best tint? Not the second best tint. What's the best? I'm using GeoShield. I think they're the best. That's why I use them. If there was another film that I thought was better, I'd be using that. Use dryer sheets still? Yup. Corner. And then we'll pick up this side, spray it down, and then we're gonna set this back down. Do you hand cut everything? If you came here a little bit earlier, you would see the back window being plotter cut. But I could take credit for it. We're gonna roll this up. If I'm doing a windshield, I'll start on the passenger side and we'll roll it up to the driver's side. I use Dove soap and dryer sheets. It works the same. Nice. Can you do that technique on the back window? Yep, a lot of people do. I don't like doing it on the back window personally because third brake lights, but the earlier you learn how to do this, a lot of people end up doing this on back windows too. All right, so now we're gonna peel our tint. We're gonna unroll it. Tint off Timo, the best brand. That sounds like a good YouTube title. Maybe we should lean into that. The best brand on Temu. All right, we're gonna start with the lower left-hand corner. A little hard to see. Let's see if we can lean this up. I'm gonna put the left side up, and then we can start unrolling this on the window. And then, if you can get it over to the side, then do that. It's helpful to get it as close to in place as you can, and then continue to unroll. So we're gonna take our liner. Where's my sprayer? So the only extra thing there is I didn't peel the very, very center. So as I peel these, I'm gonna re-wet them. So then they're less likely to stick. And then we get that all the way unrolled. Ooh, I don't like the way that's gonna bend. Rope, silly rope, get out of my way. There we go. Nice. Spread this out. Can you guys see this okay, or are we like way angled down? What's your most annoying question Oh, I don't know. Whenever you get like the really dumb ones, like why are you tinting the outside? You can lean into those really hard and they're generally a little funny, so. I hear a little bit of almost everything on every stream. Oh, you know what? You know what? I'll tell you what the most annoying one is. It's the consistent, why aren't you using a plotter?
I'm gonna run out the orders.
Okay, thank you. It's like, then I have to re-explain plotters and my opinion on them, and I don't want to in every stream. It's like, I like them. I'm more cynical about them, but I own 2 of them. So, like, it's, what I noticed is people have, like, these unfiltered gut reactions that they can't take 2 seconds to, like, settle and learn before, like, it goes on the inside, idiot. It's like, oh my god. But that's just how people are. Not everybody, but a shocking number of people are like that. So you can either hate it or you can embrace it. So I'll answer those all day long. What's the pink squeegee? The pink squeegee is called the pink clean. One reason I really like it is because it's such a soft squeegee. It molds to the shape of the glass really well. And you can start pushing out some bubbles without disturbing the placement of the film. Very, very squishy squeegee. Can you shrink pre-cut tint? You need to shrink pre-cut tint. Does the customers wait there or leave their car and go? It depends on the customer. Some people drop it off, some people don't have a ride. What's your shop called? Detroit Tint Studio. 313. How long did it take you to learn? Long time. I felt more competent. See, I can't go back and like know for sure, but I felt like I was a little more competent after like the first year. But I had also been tinting for like a company that entire time, so it was a pretty steep learning curve. I trained with somebody for, a month or 2 during the summer, and then I was kind of like on my own. They would pull in a car, and then they would pull in 2 cars, and then I would yell and bitch, and they would say like, well, we need to make money, and I'm like, whatever. I'd say it was probably a fairly slow process for me. What year did you start your business? So I didn't start Detroit Tint Studio until 2020. Pandemic. I started the channel way before that, and I never really wanted to open up a tint shop. Part of me still doesn't want a tint shop. Just give me a car and a day in a nice space, and I'll have a good time. But then people need to make money, and then if you charge people, they expect it to actually look nice afterwards. So eventually that led me to opening up a shop. And then that means I had to hire people eventually and all this other stuff. I wanted to just tint from home. That'd be cool. So I tried tinting outside, and it was really hot. The soap kept drying out. Any advice on how to stop it? Don't tint outside. Or get in the shade. If you're tinting in direct sunlight, yes, exactly. You'll experience exactly what you did. There isn't any great way around it. You could throw a towel over the window as you're installing it, like a soppy wet towel on the outside, and just, and then that'll keep the glass cool and also keep it shaded. But don't tint outside. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've actually tinted anything outside. Use a canopy. Yep, that's another way to stop the sun. But then you got wind, which is another problem. All right, we're gonna clean this off and check it over. Is ceramic worth the higher cost? To some people, I think so. And the thing is, like personally, and a lot of my customers, once they start driving with it, even though we're in Michigan and it's not hot all year round, it's hard to, like once you drive with it, you don't want to be without it. So we have a ton of repeat ceramic business where, you know, at this point, I've had plenty of repeat business. And if you don't go with it, like, it's totally fine. Just get a good film. Not everybody needs it. Like, I had a brief conversation with a customer that's waiting on this one. We're just doing Pro Classic. And he's like, from what I understand, it's really about the heat. I'm like, absolutely. And he's like, and we haven't really had a very hot summer this year. I'm like, nope. No, we haven't. And he's like, I had Pro Classic last time. I was happy with that. I'm like, all right, we'll do Pro Classic. Cool. It's all good. That's why my pricing is set where it's at. So whether you go with the Pro Classic or you go with the ceramic, I'm happy to tint your car. I want to learn, but the only option I have is outside, so it kind of sucks. You could maybe find a storage unit. That does suck that you don't have a garage to tint out of. I understand there's a lot of people that don't have a garage, but it just does. It makes everything difficult. If you want to treat it like a job and learn it as a skill, like if you're gonna go to people's houses and tint their cars, I mean, what? You're gonna have the same conditions, tint it in a driveway or a parking spot? It's like, no, like, the best businesses in tinting, they have shops. They have places to do it. It's just really like a numbers game. When you have a dedicated space for people to drop off cars at, like, you're gonna be able to do more work, you're gonna have less frustrations, you're not gonna be dependent on the weather. So there's a lot of people that getting into it, I understand, like, you're trying to make it as accessible as you possibly can, but man, if I had a good answer for you, I'd tell you. I tinted with somebody that's used to tent, and you know, on windy days it would blow the tent around, so then he had floor anchors. So like he had a tent that he would bring around and set up in like other shops' parking lots that he was working with. So like in the wintertime, there'd be snow on the ground. and they would be doing remote starts. And he would want to tint a car, and they wouldn't have the space for him to tint a car. So he got a tent, like a 10 by 20, and started setting up in their parking lots. And he got through some winters doing that. But there were certain days that they would say, like, hey, just bring the tent. And it's like, it's too windy today for the tent, even with floor anchors. So, like, he had a propane heater. It got very toasty. Lighting, he would string up some cable lights. And, like, it was an okay setup. But it's really, 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 really hard to figure out any type of realistic solution where you can run around and set up and tint 100% mobile for people. And, you know, so you could go to like an apartment building or something and it's like, yeah, no problem. I could tint every car here. Do you like the orange, blue, or is it just a blue max with double sides? No, this is the hybrid. And the hybrid, I'll show you really quick. It's different from the Orange Crush. So this is the Orange Crush. This is a new, put this back. This is a new hybrid. Even the orange is completely different. Like on this one, it's a little bit more, on the left one, it's a little bit more rubbery. And on the hybrid, it's like shiny. This material is unique to every squeegee blade that Fusion has. None of their squeegee blades has this material. This is a poured cast material. It only comes in this. I don't care blue side or orange side. It's just a really, really good material. Orange Crush, it's a good squeegee blade. It's just a injection molded squeegee blade. So it's a little bit, this one's just a little bit more rubbery. It's a really, really popular one. More expensive, but I wish they could make these ones in a few different hardnesses, but they said this is as hard as they can get. It's just my favorite squeegee blade. Look at that. Ooh, that's nice. Okay, we gotta put this back. We gotta give them all his stuff back. There's a lot of Milwaukee stuff in here. Oh my God, it's so heavy. There we go. And give this a quick once over. Looking good. What tint do you recommend on buying? I mean, I use GeoShield, so any of their lines are good. We're using Pro Classic. It's their cheapest line. Nothing wrong with it. Just doesn't have a lot of heat performance. That doesn't matter to everybody, and that's okay. Let me grab a new one. If I'm redoing my tints, but I let it sit overnight, will I have to scrape off the glue? Yes. If it's a C2 carbon, or Apex, or C2 ceramic, you might not have to. That glue generally pulls off clean, but it depends on the film that you're using. How do you buy GeoShield? You can find it at 313tint.com. Good. Wow, that's dark. Dang. If my tint starts to peel, oh, here it is. If my tint starts to peel, can it be stuck back down? No, you're gonna need a new piece. What's the website? 313tint.com. This one. Woo! That is dark. What did you do on this one? We did 5 on the sides and the rear, and we did dark on the windshield. Geoshield or Expel, which is better? Film-wise, dude, you're not gonna have a difference. You're not gonna have a significant difference in film. If anything, Apex is gonna be better. If you want to talk marketing, why won't this? There we go. If you were talking about marketing, Expel has the best marketing, period. How good is Solar Free? I've never used it. Okay, so I got to get this customer typed up. What about cleaning this floor? You're going to want to pull it up. Nice job. Thank you. I appreciate it. They're both manufactured by the same company. They do share a manufacturer. I think Expel uses that manufacturer way more than Geoshield does, because Expel doesn't have any carbon films. All right, contacts, add a new one, and then Are you about to tint anything else? Nope. Nope, we are at the end today. Where can I buy tint? Voice creeping in on the back. I know. I got to get him typed up so he can get on his way. It's a customer. Or a murderer. You tell me. Have you ever used TView? Yep, I didn't use it long at all. I just wanted to see if you could install with it. And it's fine. It's just a cheap dyed film, so I wouldn't expect it to last long. Guy in the back. All right, front windshield. What did we do? Pro Classic 5 on the front sides, rear glass and back sides. What are your thoughts about micro edges? I think they're perfectly fine. As long as you have a nice consistent edge, nobody's going to care about your top edges. Nobody in Maine does that. Would like to set myself apart. I mean, you can definitely use it as a way to try and set yourself apart. There's nothing wrong with that. Use every advantage that you can. You just got to be realistic about those advantages. And not like your average customer really isn't going to know. So like you would have to do like a before and an after, like this guy versus me type of thing, and try and market it and see what people think about it. All right, I gotta cash this guy out now. Can I just bring this? I could bring this. Oh. Oh, here. I'll just take it. You want to check it out?
Sure.
I won't put you on the spot, but you can definitely check it out. I know you've been waiting the whole time. I'm just streaming. But yeah, feel free to go around it. Is that dark enough?
Yeah, it's dark enough. Yeah, I mean, it's not the darkest thing, but. Like,
No, it's... The windshield is not going to be... But the sides and the rear, definitely. I wouldn't go any darker than that on the windshield, that's for sure. Yes. So yeah, we went straight over that with the same 5. So yeah, you're way dark now.
Do you have one of those like meters?
I do. I have a split meter I can use. They're over here. Here. I'll have to pull it out. I don't know if it's going to show a percentage, only because it is so dark. So like the front, I'll get a read off of that, and then the back we'll see. Here. Split meter, so I'm going to turn this on. It'll be at 100. And then we'll put this over and we'll see if it can even... It's just 0.
Is that the actual percentage? Or like...
Yeah, because you're going to be under 1%. So this is going to go from 100 down to 0.
Yeah.
It's not going to show you like decimals below that. So...
It was actually relatively dark from the factory.
Yeah.
I think it was probably...
Oh, I'd leave the windows up too.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that, actually.
It's okay.
Oh, I think I had the ones the cops do where they like push it down on your window. You know what I mean?
I used to have that meter. Well, I still do. But I got a split meter. So I actually made a video. So like your back doors here, or your front doors meter at 4. Mm-hmm. So we put 5% on it, but you take the percentage of the glass, combine that with the percentage of the tint, and then that's what you get. A lot of tinters would freak out from that too, when somebody rolls down the window, because I get asked that a lot. Like, how soon can I roll down my windows? You should wait a couple days because there's still going to be moisture in between the film and the glass. But as long as they're installed properly, accidentally doing it like that doesn't hurt it.
So like you say like 48 hours?
Yeah, I just wait a couple days and then you're fine. Yeah, with them being this dark, like, yeah. Maybe for like a drive-through or something, but like.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really know. So we should be good.
So, but yeah, you are all set. Let's cash you out. I can do that over here. I'll take this over there. All right. Context. There you are. View. Perfect. Paying with a card?
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's the total, by the way?
The total was $450 minus that deposit, so you'd be $400 out the door. Let me see your card.
What was tap?
Oh.
Yeah, that's why you gave me that one.
They'll work either way. Alrighty. Let me print you out an invoice here. But yeah, just leave the windows up for a couple of days, but they'll be fine.
All right.
If you have any issues with the work or the job, just give it a good couple days to dry out. Sometimes there can be a stubborn water pocket that could take a little bit longer, especially since we did the full windshield. So you just looking through it, especially when you drive out of here, you're going to notice it's going to look a little bit wavy while it's drying out. but that'll clear up within a day or two.
Oh, awesome.
So there's that. I'll back it out for you. Oh yeah, I do need that. I'll go ahead and back that out for you. Any other questions for me or anything?
No, honestly, it looks good. So
Cool.
thank you. I'll wait outside.
All right. So I'm gonna meet him outside. Where's my other stand? Did I move that over here? Yeah, we'll set this up over here. Usually I just hop off, but that's pretty easy. That's pretty easy to do. Oh, it's cloudy. We all good? Oh, I forgot this thing's electric. Oh. Ooh.